You're standing in the Subura, where Rome presses closest to itself. The street narrows between buildings that lean inward, their upper floors blocking much of the morning sky. Workshops open directly onto the thoroughfare, their thresholds shared between craft and commerce. You can hear metal striking metal somewhere in the dim interior behind you. From an upper window, the street reveals itself as a shared groove, worn into the city's density. What seems impassable at ground level functions through constant negotiation. The Via Sacra widens as it climbs toward the Forum, though traffic still compresses against temple walls and temporary stalls. An ox guard has stopped, and passage slows behind it. The Forum spreads before you, though not as a polished, square scaffolding clings to one temple, and the ground shows the constant layering of construction and use. People gather in pockets of shade. Between permanent marble and temporary wood, the Forum functions as both monument and market. Scribes sit beside puddles reflecting gray sky, waiting for clients. Inside the basilica, business occurs in the margins. Legal consultations pressed against columns, quiet arguments beneath windows that admit slanted morning light through smoke. The Capitoline stairs rise in worn stone, their centers hollowed by generations of ascent. Below, the Forum resolves into a pattern of roofs and smoke. At the Temple of Jupiter, ash settles on marble, still warm from morning sacrifice. The doors stand partially open, revealing darkness within. From this height, Rome appears as density without clear edge, smoke rising from 10,000 hearths into an indifferent sky. The Tiber cuts through as a dark ribbon, descending toward the river. The streets steepen and narrow. Water carriers climb past you, their vessels straining against rope and shoulder. At the river, cargo moves between boat and warehouse in patient rhythm. The Tiber runs brown and steady, indifferent to the commerce at its edge. Inside the warehouse, amphorae stand in patient rows, their contents sealed with wax and cork. Dust hangs in the light from doorways that frame the river beyond. Crossing to Tiberum, the city changes texture: lower buildings, narrower streets, the density of those who work the river. The bridge planks shift slightly beneath each step. Here, the street itself becomes workshop pottery, drying beside doorways, leather stretched across frames, smoke from kilns mixing with cook-fire haze. Inside the workshop, clay transforms under practiced hands, the wheel turning in rhythm that requires no thought. Shelves hold vessels waiting for fire. Looking back across the river, central Rome rises in layers, temples on hills, smoke settling between, the density organizing itself by elevation and purpose. At the Porta Capena, the city finds its formal edge. Beyond the gate, the Via Appia begins its long descent south, lined with tombs that mark the boundary between living and dead. The tombs speak of continuity, family names in stone, offerings renewed by descendants, the insistence that memory outlasts flesh. From within a tomb, the road continues as movement and sound, visible through the entrance as patterns of light and shadow. The living pass without entering. Returning to the gate, the walls receive you back into compression. Beyond, smoke signals 10,000 hearths preparing evening meals. The Palatine rises as invitation only, its gardens terraced above the common streets, its gates guarded against casual entry. In the atrium, water reflects sky borrowed from above, and painted walls extend space beyond plaster. This is wealth as controlled stillness. The garden holds imported plants tended daily, their survival requiring constant attention, a luxury measured in labor invisible to guests. The Colosseum gathers crowds to its base like water to a drain. Vendors, beggars, citizens arriving for scheduled events, all compressed against travertine, worn smooth by hands. The corridors channel crowds toward the arena, stone worn smooth at their centers, the space narrowing before it opens. From the seats, the arena appears as patient geometry raked sand waiting for purpose. The opposite tiers reflecting your own position and mirror. Evening finds the Subura first, shadow filling the narrow streets before the hills lose sun. Oil lamps appear in upper windows like reversed stars. The stairs climb in darkness measured by landings, each floor above, thinner walled and more combustible than the last. In the upper rooms, families compress their lives into spaces that will burn when any of the city's frequent fires come climbing. For now, there is bread and warmth. At night, the Subura returns to darkness, the streets emptying except for those with compelling reasons to move. The city becomes sound carts rumbling, voices echoing from unknown doorways. Dogs. At dawn, the Forum belongs briefly to ritual rather than commerce priests at altars. Smoke rising straight in still air, marble emerging from gray like memory. The baths release steam like breath made visible, their interiors promising warmth purchased cheaply, one of Empire's genuine gifts to common hours. In the caldarium, steam erases distinction, and voices echo without clear source. Bodies move through heat that equalizes, at least briefly, the day's hierarchy. Between hot and cold, the conversation flows. Politics, prices, gossip. The currency of public life exchanged in spaces designed for precisely this mixing. The theater of Marcellus has become multiple things: performance space above, shops and storage within, the city adapting architecture to necessity without sentimentality. At the Temple of Saturn, state treasury and religious function share marble steps. The distinction between sacred and civic, more theoretical than spatial. Trajan's Forum announces recent empire, its proportions still sharp, and its marble clean. The column rises as frozen narrative conquest, compressed into stone. At the column's base, empire justifies itself in marble campaigns, victories, subjugations carved with craftsmanship that makes conquest beautiful. Trajan's market organizes buying into architecture, each vault holding specific trade, the levels connected by stairs that channel traffic through systematic exchange. The Circus Maximus stretches between hills like a stone valley, its capacity measuring imperial ambition in seats for 100,000 or more. The Spina divides the track like a stone river, its lap markers and obelisk measuring distance in circuits repeated until victory or wreckage. The Aventine holds those who work rather than govern, its streets mixing trades and housing without the Forum's marble pretension. Grain distribution occurs with administrative precision tokens, verified, measures standardized, the crowd compressed into patience by necessity and armed oversight. The aqueduct marches into the city on stone legs, its channel bearing water from distant springs. Engineering made monument through repetition. At the fountain, water arrives as promised reliable, clean enough, the infrastructure that makes density survivable. The street shrines hold neighborhood gods, their offerings renewed daily by those who pass religion as routine, protection purchased with bread and gesture. The workshops claim their street frontage by trade, each opening announcing its craft through sound and visible labor empire built through aggregated expertise. As evening arrives, the market dismantles itself, stalls folding, produce carried away, the paving emerging like a stage reset for tomorrow's identical performance. The Pantheon receives visitors through bronze doors that open on oiled hinges, its entrance promising interior space the exterior cannot suggest. Inside, the dome curves above like captured sky, the oculus admitting weather and light in equal measure. Inside the bakery, grain becomes bread through labor measured in rotations, the mill turning, hands shaping, fire transforming according to rhythms older than Rome. At the river's edge, fullers beat fabric clean using stones and urine, the work too harsh for domestic space. Relegated to the banks where the Tiber accepts the runoff. Between buildings, gardens press vegetables into every available span of soil, the city feeding itself partially through intensive cultivation wherever walls permit. The tanneries occupy the city's edge, where smell can disperse, their vats holding mixtures necessary and nauseating, leather requiring transformation through controlled decay. The abandoned insulae stands as gap rather than absence, the city flowing around its decay, adaptation preferred to demolition until collapse forces clearing. Children claim the street's margins for play, their games adapted to the spaces carts and commerce permit. Childhood negotiated within adult necessity, the watch moves through night as traveling light, their authority effective only where torches reach, darkness reclaiming each street behind them. At best as temple, the eternal flame requires constant tending. Religious function measured in uninterrupted burning, 6 women responsible for continuity, thought essential. The Senate House receives its members through doors that open daily, debate occurring behind walls that contain rather than amplify voices. The Basilica contains multiple purposes without separation. Commerce, law, shelter from weather, the activities occurring simultaneously within the same marble volume. The warehouses hold the empire's collected taxes and tribute grain, Oil, wine, their contents, feeding Rome through systematic storage and controlled distribution. The fish market receives the morning's catch from Ostia, brought upriver before dawn, displayed on marble, cooled with alpine ice carried in straw. At the meat market, butchering occurs as public performance. The transformation from animal to portion accomplished with practiced efficiency, waste managed through drainage built into the stone. The Campus Martius preserves open ground within the city's expansion, its space claimed by military drill, assembly, and monuments that haven't yet consumed the intervals between. The mausoleum of Augustus holds his ashes and those of his family. The structure massive enough to remain visible across the city, scaled for dynasty that ended. The Porticus Octaviae encloses libraries and temples within colonnade shade, public culture housed in marble, knowledge accessible to those with literacy and leisure. In the library, scrolls wait in pigeonholes arranged by subject and author, readers claiming tables lit by high windows, knowledge stored against time and fire. Metal returns from melting and reformation. Street repair exposes the layers beneath drainage channels. Earlier paving, foundation stones the city, maintaining itself through continuous replacement of worn elements. The flower cellar offers stems for domestic altars and temples, petals purchased for single day's service before wilting, beauty as consumable necessity. Evening empties the forum gradually, its marble releasing the day's accumulated heat into cooling air, the space returning to temples and monuments until morning brings commerce again. The lamp seller fills vessels with oil, wicking ready to receive flame, light purchased by measure against the coming darkness. At the household shrine, family gods receive daily offerings. Bread, wine, gesture protection, negotiated through small, persistent rituals that structure domestic time. The astrologer reads futures from star positions, charging fees proportional to client wealth. Fate purchased as commodity, though accuracy remains permanently unverifiable. The cobblers occupy their street by tradition and convenience, repair rather than new construction defining their trade. Shoes mended until leather cannot hold stitching. As darkness claims the valleys first, Rome reveals itself in lights that mirror the stars above 10,000 lamps against the night, each marking a hearth, a life, a moment in empire that believes itself eternal. The people lighting those lamps cannot know what the centuries hold. For them, this is simply evening, and tomorrow will arrive as always, requiring the same negotiations, the same labor, the same compressed coexistence that makes a city function. Rome endures because its people expect it to, not through vision or philosophy, but through the accumulated weight of routine made monumental.